Hey guys, I had mentioned yesterday in my 2 year 1 month update that I would be doing a response video for Nick B. The topic, I call it oppression. Nick talked about the scars that was experienced in life due to living a female body person before transition, and how since he has got his body all in unison, had all the surgeries that he has wanted to do to get the body to match his inner self, now that that's all in unison, he finds that he still deals with the emotional scars from being a female body person. For him is 50 years, around 50 years or so, 50 plus. And I can relate to what he's talking about because I too did not start transitioning until I was 50 years old. And what I have found is, although I am still not physically where I want to be with my body as far as surgeries are concerned, but I still have the memories and the scars, emotional scars, from being female body and living that life for so long. And I call it oppression because basically it's society holding people down. And oppression can happen in all different ways. There's religious oppression, there's psychological oppression, and basically how I view it is that minority groups that are judged and discriminated against are held down to a certain level where the people doing the judging and the discriminating, general society, should I say, are the ones holding them down because of those actions. Now, in my life, I'm going to use myself as an example because Nick really didn't go into what he thinks about and how he feels in specific details. I'm going to do a little bit more than that. I'm going to go into specific details, I probably have shared them in my videos in a more broader conversation. So I'm going to just isolate this to oppression. So, Nick, I do agree with you that once you start physically transitioning and you start seeing that inner person in the mirror come to life, the happiness and the balance and the strength that you feel and the confidence and the self-esteem, all that grows and it keeps growing. However, one thing that happens is that we still have moments where how we were once treated, how we once felt, they come to life in us. They remind us. And in my experience in the last 2 years that I've been transitioning, I have woke up several different times thinking that I haven't transitioned, feeling like that old person. And I get a little scared until I realize I'm still in the process. Another thing that I deal with is a lot of people question, do I bury the past or do I engulf the past, and how do I handle the past? For myself, I'm both. I have found that it's very hard for me to look at old pictures of me because it reminds me of a sad person. It reminds me of a person who was not treated as the person they were or are. And talking past tense, so we'll say were. The disappointments, the hurt, the pain, when nobody meant to do it. We had no expression of I mean, like with me, I embraced the gay community because my sexual orientation was that I was attracted to women and I was female body. Did I ever consider myself gay? You know, I never really did because of the person I was on the inside. But outwardly, I played that part, and it was a role. And anybody who knows anything about acting and playing a part, and that's all it is. It's not you. And for what society did to me was they taught me to be a good actor. When I would get frustrated and not act or get depressed about it, I feared scorning. I feared judgment. So I would have to snap myself out of those moods and continue acting. Now, to be more specific, let's just give a few. I'm going to give a few experiences where I always had to shrug things underneath the rug and not respond to certain things in life because I didn't want drama. And on the other hand, I was sad and hurt because I couldn't express myself, or I was not seen for who I really was. And one of the things is I knew at an early age why, because my cousin, who's 10 months younger than I've said this on my beginning videos, where he stood up peeing outside and I couldn't, and he said squat, and it just wasn't right to me. I had to accept it, right? It's the only way I could pee was to squat without getting it all over and then getting in trouble. And we were only like 7-8 years old. Earlier than that, the neighborhood little boy that I used to play with, his mother one day told me I couldn't play with him anymore unless I put on a shirt. And I asked her why, and she said, because little girls don't go without shirts. And I went crying to my mom. And my mom at that time, she allowed me to express myself. She said, go play somewhere else, you know? So I did, without question. You know, my dad treated me like his boy. I was the oldest. The boy didn't come along till the 4th out of 5 children. I was taught how to ride a motorcycle at a very 8 years old. I was taken fishing, you know. A lot of things were done with me that even my brother didn't get done with him. But the sad thing was, I never could call myself my dad's boy. I was a girl. And I don't know how he really viewed me, maybe as a tomboy. We never really talked about it. My dad swore when my mom was pregnant with me that I was a boy. And I wish that he was alive today to say, you were right. Or I have the brave, you know, that I have the confidence to tell him, you were right. I expressed myself to my mom in my early 30s, I think I was, around 30. But I never could. My dad was already gone by the time I was 26. But I never could express myself before then, even to my dad. My dad would get drunk and call my mom and say, you know, you got a lesbian for a daughter. And my mom wouldn't believe that. And I would get so nervous and so scared, sick to my stomach, that my dad would start crap, that I would just be sick. And for so many years, you've had to justify who you are without telling people who you are. The joke was, one of my friends, that when I first met her, she saw it right off the bat. She's a lesbian, and she goes, you feel like a guy inside, don't you? And I got embarrassed. And I had to keep drinking, and finally I got brave enough to say yeah. And it was a joke. From there on, when we would drink, is, how's it hanging, swindler? And that's what she used to call me, a swindler. How's it hanging, swindler? And I'd put a hand down to my knee, you know, and she just think that was the funniest thing, you know. But it was an inside joke for us, but it made me feel good. It made me have that moment. And through the years, I had nicknames. I earned the name Champ with another set of friends, about 15 of them. We did a drinking game, and I won, and they kept calling me Champ. So from there on, since early 90s, I've been called champ by them. And, then my other friend called me swindler. And then we started hanging out with a different group that brought in more people to make a bigger group, and who we hang out with today. I would call myself the Brazilian bullfrog. Tony brought that up because the bullfrog in Brazil is very beautiful, but yet it's poisonous. And I would tell him I have a mysterious side. And, then it was a couple of the more non-masculine women in the group would want to be a Brazilian bullfrog like me, and I would call him Junior. So it was a joke, but I was expressing my masculine side without them realizing it. And that's the things that I held on to, was those little gestures when we were all around. How's it hanging, swindler? You guys are the juniors. Listen, watch the Brazilian bullfrog senior do things. And it was a big joke, but it made me feel good. I used to call myself a grizzly bear, and everybody go, "Oh, you're a big teddy bear." But I always tried to express myself masculine, and everyone knew in the group that I could strengthen. I was stronger than anybody in the group, so they never even challenged me in that way. In fact, they bragged about my strength. So there was little things, but in those little things that made me feel good, it would sadden me. It was like, I didn't express sadness, but it was just like, because if only they knew, if only they knew who I am on the inside. We wouldn't be joking about this. We would be facing this and respecting it, But those were the downfalls, walking into restaurants, being looked at, because I used to look very butchish. I didn't consider myself a butch either, nor a lesbian, but I wore my hair real short. In the career that I was in, I chose to wear it really short to keep myself safe. And it was a butch haircut, and my expression looked butchish, but my expression also was masculine for me. And I was able to have that look in my career. And I look at it now, and if I was a guy, well, not as a guy, but as a guy, now looking at another woman like that, I would label them, because that's what we have as labels. But I'd look at them and go, oh yeah, I wouldn't be attracted to something like that. So you kind of understand, I never viewed myself prior to transition as looking butchish. But now that I see myself after physical transition, while I'm physically transitioned and I'm out and able to express myself properly for who I really am, now I look at it and go, wow, I did express really butchish, and no wonder why we got the looks we got. But those are the things that cause scars. The hindrance in life. People not seeing you fully for who you are. Having to hold yourself down and oppress those feelings because of judgments, because society didn't understand. And I have to praise all the people before me that took the guts and lived their lives how they wanted to be, for who they were, and not be an actor like I did for so many years. But acting did cause scars. And it's in those moments when we don't feel like, or when I shouldn't say we, but I have moments where this is not real. Ethan's not real. Because it was for so long that Ethan was not expressed. Ethan was not recognized as Ethan. And so every day I just keep pushing forward to be outwardly who I am. And when those times come where I get panicked because I wake up thinking I'm the same old person and transition is a dream, I have to regroup myself and say, you know what, down the road, when I'm down 6 years, 10 years into transition, the scars will start disappearing. They're starting to now, because you're embracing them and you're acknowledging them as for what they are. They're acting scars. And as people, as you go through life and more people don't know your past or your history, and they just see you for who you are, I think that I will start healing even more. Now, I'm never going to be, say, stealth, and I'm never going to be out. I am just living my life for who I am. Am I going to tell everybody my story? No. But people who hang out with me, who Tony and I invite in our circle, yeah, I probably will, because there's going to be a time when someone's going to slip or bring back a memory, or something's going to happen, and it's going to be awkward. That happened to me the other day at the horses, in fact. One of our cuckoo ladies, who we call Cuckoo, we drove up, and she was talking to a new stable person, and she goes, "How are you gals doing?" And I just wanted to, like, really? I didn't respond. Tony talked to her, and I didn't know how to respond, and my stomach just turned. So along with our oppressed scars, there are going to be feelings that it's going to happen at a different level now, and we're still going to have to deal with it. Why? Because the bottom line is, we are a minority group. There are things in our lives that we can't change, and there are people that are going to come into, or that are in our lives, that are going to mess up or slip, and we're just going to have to deal with it. And so, Nick, I hope this helped you. I just wanted to say, yeah, we have those scars, and it's going to take a long time. I believe scars do heal. Just like the scars on just like those scars on our bodies, slowly in time, they're always there, but they dissolve into just like a little line. I think that's what's going to happen with our emotional scars. So, I'm at a point where, as I was saying, I cannot look at old pictures. It's very hard for me. It reminds me of that sad person, of that person who had to become an actor and not show people what they were really about. It reminds me of being in love and having to experience heartache time after time after time because of the sexual orientation and the people I fell in love with, and how that conflicted with their religious beliefs, and ended up losing people in my life. How I fell for people who I felt accepted me, and realized they are kind of screwed up, and dealing with that emotional stress in my life. So it caused a lot of bad choices, but at the time I didn't know they were bad choices. But on the other hand, I've learned from these experiences. Everything in life, regardless of what life we walk, if we don't learn from decisions and choices and other people's lives, then we're not going to grow as a human anyway. So I think that us transgender people, as we transition, however we transition, but once we embrace our inner self and balance our lives, I feel privileged, honestly. Even though I got hurt really bad a few times in my life by other people, I feel privileged that I was taken out of that box in which I grew up in, and I was forced to question things, question the norm, push the envelope, as you say. I was an outcast, yet I tried to be an incast. Trying to balance myself in life. But I also feel very blessed that life and people in life general, those leaders, those rebels, push through the norm, push through the box, and tear down those walls and try to start educating people, and a lot of time it's caused their lives. And I just think everyone prior to my life, who express themselves openly and push that envelope to open other people's eyes that there's more to life than just boy, girl, black and white, etc., 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 in all aspects of life. Sexual orientation is just not heterosexual. Gender identity is just not female male. It is female male, but it's physically not just female male. And that's what I embrace, and that's what keeps me going when I have those low times, and I'm reminded of the depression, the sadness, the hurt, the pain that I had to experience. I don't sit and concentrate on the negative things in my life for very long. I snap myself out of it and I push forward. But I am very thankful for all of it, because it has made me who I am today. And I view myself as a pretty balanced person, still open for growing and educating myself, because there's a lot more to gender identity than just FTMs and MTFs. I'm telling you, these young people got things going on. They got Z's and call Z, and that doesn't mean him or her. Or I got people who one day feels they're a boy, and the next day they feels they're. There's just so much, and I don't want to judge anybody, but it's really even weird to me. So, I'm still learning to knock down walls in my little maze, should I call it, in that box, to blow down the walls and keep them down, and not to judge anybody unless it happens to be criminal type of activity. But there's just more to life than what we understand it to be. So I'm going to close up instead of rambling. I've done a long video, but I just want to say, Nick, just keep pushing forward. We all have those moments. We're all reminded of our past. Family is always going to remind us in some way of our past when you're gathered around. Like I did as a female body person, I just kind of acknowledge it, bury it, and push forward. But overall, I'm so happy that I have this opportunity to transition to who I really am, and people to acknowledge me for who I really am. So anyway, I hope this was on the line you were talking about. I hope this helps someone. You're not alone if you're feeling the same thing. But anyway, I always tell you guys and ladies, take life one day at a time. Get through each day the best you can. Work on what you can. You got to shed it off what you can't. And make your journey as simple as possible. All right, guys. God bless. Bye.